Welcome to the Privacy Report. We're here to help you navigate digital self-defense and take back some control in this super tracked world we live in.
Yeah.
And hey, before we really get rolling, just a quick note, if you want more detailed guides, checklists, that sort of thing based on what we talk about here, you can subscribe to our email newsletter. It's over at theprivacyreport.net. All right, so today we're diving into something pretty fundamental, defending yourself right at the network level. Because, let's be honest, everything connects now.
Everything. Your phone, your TV, even your thermostat maybe. And they're all constantly chattering, sending data back somewhere.
Exactly. Telemetry, analytics, you name it. It's just this constant background noise of data leaving your home.
Yeah, it feels like the walls have ears, digitally speaking. People often use browser plugins, but that's like, patching one little window.
Right, just on that one computer and that one browser.
Precisely. So today we're talking about a specific open source tool. It works differently. It sits at the network gateway and stops a lot of that unwanted traffic before it even reaches your phone or your laptop.
Okay, so this is about reclaiming some real control at a bigger scale.
A massive piece of control, potentially. Yeah.
Let's dig into that. This tool, it's called Pi-hole, right?
Yeah.
A lot of people in the privacy space talk about it.
It's the one. Very popular, community-driven project.
So how does it actually work? What makes this network-wide blocking so different, so much more powerful than, say, my ad blocker extension?
Okay, so technically, it's what's called a DNS sinkhole. Open source, as I mentioned.
DNS sinkhole. Unpack that a bit.
Sure. So when you go to a website like example.com, your device needs to find its actual IP address, right? It asks a DNS server for that translation.
Okay, standard internet stuff.
Right. The Pi-hole puts itself in the middle of that conversation. It becomes your network's DNS server.
Ah, okay, so it intercepts the requests.
Exactly. Think of it like a bouncer for your network's internet requests. It has these big lists, block lists of domains known for serving ads or tracking users or even hosting malware. Okay. So when your smart TV tries to phone home to analytics.samsung.com or whatever, that request goes to the Pi-hole first. Pi-hole checks its list, sees that domain.
And just says, nope.
Pretty much. It either tells your device that address doesn't exist or sends it to a dead end, a sort of black hole address locally. The request just sinks. The connection is never made.
And that's the key difference. It's happening before the tracker or ad server even gets pinged, not just hiding it in the browser.
Yes. Your browser extension is great for cleaning up a web page after it loads, but it can't stop your smart speaker from sending usage data or your game console from logging your activity. Those devices don't run extensions.
That's a really important point. The Internet of Things is notoriously leaky.
Totally. They're often the worst offenders. But if all DNS requests from all devices on your network have to go through the Pi-hole first,
Then everything gets filtered.
Yeah.
Laptops, phones, tablets, smart gadgets.
Yeah.
The works. Without installing anything on them individually.
That's the power of network-level filtering. It covers the blind spots. Ads, malware domains, telemetry endpoints blocked across the board.
It's kind of amazing how much stuff is trying to connect out without you realizing it. Which leads us nicely to the big privacy win here. Why is self-hosting your DNS using something like Pi-hole such a big deal for privacy?
Well, think about where those DNS requests normally go. By default, usually to your internet service provider, your ISP.
Or maybe Google's DNS or Cloudflare if you've changed it.
Right, and what does that mean? It means your ISP or Google or Cloudflare has a direct log of basically every single website domain your network tries to access.
Wow. Yeah, that's your entire browsing history, essentially, or at least the destination.
Your raw browsing intent, yeah. Every site you look up. When you run your own DNS resolver locally with Pi-hole, you stop sending that incredibly revealing data stream outside your network.
It stays local, under your control.
Exactly. For anyone serious about reducing their data footprint and getting a clear picture of what their devices are doing, taking control of DNS is often like step one. It's fundamental.
It feels like it plugs a huge, often overlooked data leak.
It really does. And thinking bigger picture, it pushes back against that feeling of constant surveillance, when external companies log every site you visit, every curiosity you explore, that has a chilling effect.
Like subtly changes behavior, maybe.
Could do. So reclaiming that DNS data is a small but meaningful way to assert some digital freedom, some agency.
Taking back the wheel, as you said. Okay, let's shift to practicalities. Self-hosting, DNS server, network configuration. This sounds potentially intimidating. Is Pi-hole something a reasonably tech-savvy person, maybe not a network engineer, can actually set up?
Oh, absolutely. That's one of the project's strengths. The community has put a lot of effort into making it accessible. And you don't need some powerhouse server.
What kind of hardware are we talking?
The classic go-to option is a Raspberry Pi. You know those little credit card-sized computers?
Yep, seen those.
A Raspberry Pi 3 or newer works great. They're cheap. You can often get a kit with everything you need for under, say, $50. Plus, they use very little power, so you can just leave it running 24/7.
Okay, so low barrier to entry on cost.
Yeah.
What about alternatives?
Plenty. You can run it on pretty much any machine running Linux, even an old laptop, or in a Docker container or virtual machine if you've already got a home server running other stuff. It's really flexible.
All right, let's walk through the setup basics. You mentioned a script.
Yeah, it's surprisingly straightforward for most people. First, you get a basic operating system on your device like Raspberry Pi OS Lite, something minimal.
Okay.
Then you open a terminal and run a single command, basically. You copy and paste one line of code that downloads and runs their installation script.
And it guides you through?
It does. It asks a few basic questions.
Sure.
Then, the really crucial step comes after Pi-hole is installed. You need to log into your home router's settings.
Right, the main internet gateway for the house.
Exactly. And you find the DNS server settings in there. You replace whatever addresses are in there, usually your ISPs, with the local IP address of your new Pi-hole device, and only that address.
And that one change redirects all the DNS traffic from every device.
Bingo! Suddenly, every phone, laptop, smart TV, whatever connects to your Wi-Fi starts sending its DNS lookups to your Pi-hole instead of out to the internet.
And that's when you can start seeing what it's doing.
Yep. You access the Pi-hole's web dashboard through your browser, and the first time you log in, it's often an eye-opener.
What do you see?
You see a real-time log of every domain being requested by every device on your network. You see graphs of how many queries are being blocked. You suddenly get this incredible transparency into all that background chatter you never knew was happening.
I bet you see a lot of stuff getting blocked immediately.
Oh, yeah. Telemetry from apps, tracking domains you've never heard of, all hitting that sinkhole. And from the dashboard, you can manage everything, tweak block lists, see stats, and importantly, whitelist things if needed. The whole setup, maybe an hour, maybe less if you're comfortable with this stuff.
Okay, you mentioned whitelisting. Let's tackle the big potential downside people worry about. Performance. Putting this filter in the middle, does it slow down your internet connection?
It's a fair question, but the answer is almost always no. In fact, it's usually the opposite.
Really? It speeds things up?
Yeah, quite often noticeably faster. Think
Right.
about it. Your browser isn't wasting time trying to download dozens, sometimes hundreds, of ads, tracking scripts, and other junk on every web page.
Less data to download, pages load quicker. Makes sense.
Exactly. Plus, your DNS lookups are now happening super fast right there on your local network instead of going out to some distant server and waiting for a reply. So yeah, faster browsing is a common side effect.
Okay, so faster, more private. What are the real trade-offs? You mentioned whitelisting.
That's the main one, yeah. The Pi-hole uses these huge community-curated block lists, which means they're quite aggressive. They block a lot.
So sometimes they block something you actually need.
It happens. Maybe a link in an email doesn't work, or a specific feature on a website breaks, or you can't log into your bank because some obscure domain it relies on got caught in the net.
Okay, so what do you do then?
You pop into the Pi-hole dashboard, look at the query log to see what was recently blocked from your device, identify the domain that looks like it's needed for that site or service, and click Whitelist.
So a bit of occasional troubleshooting.
Exactly. It's usually a minor hassle. It takes a few seconds once you know what to look for. And you have to keep the Pi-hole software and the underlying OS updated like any server. But the whitelisting is the main ongoing maintenance task.
Seems like a pretty small price to pay for network-wide blocking and keeping your DNS private. But are there things that Pi-hole doesn't block well? Any major limitations?
Yeah, definitely. The classic example is YouTube ads.
Ah, yes. The bane of many blockers.
Right, because YouTube often serves the ads from the very same domains, the same servers as the actual video content. If Pi-hole blocks the ad domain, it often blocks the video too.
So it can't easily distinguish between the ad stream and the content stream at the DNS level.
Exactly. For that kind of embedded advertising, especially video ads, you often still need browser extensions or other methods that work differently, analyzing the page content itself. So Pi-hole is incredibly powerful, but it's not a magic bullet for 100% of all ads everywhere.
Good to know. What about safety? I mean, you're routing all your internet lookups through this one little box.
Yeah.
If it fails, Does your internet die? And is the box itself secure?
Both valid points. On failure. Yes, if your only DNS server, the Pi-hole, goes offline, your devices won't be able to resolve website names, so effectively your internet access breaks.
Okay, that's a risk.
It is, though Raspberry Pis are generally very reliable, low-power things. Some people set up a second Pi-hole for redundancy, but for most home users, it's rarely an issue. On security, Pi-hole software itself is open source, heavily vetted by the community. As long as you keep the underlying operating system patched and updated, just like any computer, it's considered very safe. It runs locally, doesn't collect your data, you control the data.
Okay, that's reassuring. Now, for people who get this set up and think, okay, what's next? How can I make this even more private or secure? Are there ways to enhance this?
Oh yeah, definitely. The next logical step for maximum privacy is often to pair Pi-hole with something called Unbound.
Unbound, what's that?
Unbound is a recursive DNS resolver that you run locally on the Pi-hole device itself or another machine on your network. See, by default, Pi-hole blocks stuff, but for the requests it allows, it still has to forward them to an upstream DNS provider like Google or Cloudflare.
Ah, so you're still sending some data externally.
Exactly. But with Unbound, your Pi-hole setup doesn't forward requests anymore. Unbound goes out and finds the answers itself, directly querying the authoritative DNS servers across the internet, starting from the root servers.
Wow, so you completely cut out the middleman. No more Google, no Cloudflare, no ISP, seeing your allowed DNS lookups.
Precisely. Your DNS resolution becomes truly self-contained. It's the ultimate step for DNS privacy, preventing leaks and keeping your browsing habits entirely off third-party servers.
That sounds powerful. What else?
Well, Pi-hole itself doesn't encrypt your DNS traffic by default. Using Unbound helps, but you can also configure DNS over HTTPS, DOH, or DNS over TLS, DOT, either in Pi-hole or with Unbound for encryption. And another popular combo is using a VPN like WireGuard.
How does WireGuard fit in?
WireGuard lets you create a secure, encrypted tunnel from your phone or laptop back to your home network when you're out and about.
Ah, so you can use your Pi-hole even when you're not on your home Wi-Fi.
Exactly. So your phone, even on cellular data or coffee shop Wi-Fi, routes its DNS requests securely back through your Pi-hole at home. You get the same ad blocking and privacy protection everywhere. It essentially extends your secure network bubble wherever you go.
Okay, so Pi-hole is the foundation. Unbound takes privacy to the next level by bringing resolution in-house, and WireGuard extends that protection outside the home. That's quite a stack.
It really is a very capable open-source privacy stack you can build yourself.
It really drives home that for, maybe $50 in hardware and a bit of learning time, you can implement this incredibly robust layered defense for your entire network's data flow. It's a fundamental shift from just accepting the defaults.
It absolutely is. You gain control, you gain transparency, and that transparency really makes you wonder, doesn't it? If it's this relatively straightforward to set up a system like Pi-hole that keeps your DNS data private and blocks unwanted tracking, why isn't that the default?
That's a great question.
Why do almost all routers and devices come pre-configured to just hand over all that sensitive browsing data to external companies by default? Why is privacy still something you have to actively fight for and configure yourself instead of the standard?
Yeah, why is the opt-out model the standard for our data? Definitely something to think about long after you've maybe set up your own network filter. Food for thought. Well, this has been incredibly insightful. Thank you for breaking down network-level defense for us. And thanks to all of you for joining us on the Privacy Report. If this conversation was helpful, please do give us a like or subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. It really helps others find the show.
We really appreciate you tuning in and exploring these important topics with us.
Thank you for listening. This episode was made with the assistance of AI.